Dear PG students of third semester, Bihar University, Muzaffarpur. I mean the students of the University Department of English, BU, Bihar University. I am Professor S.K. Paul, head of the Department of English, University Department of English, Bihar University, Muzaffarpur. Here today, I am going to deliver my lecture on W.B. Yeats as a modern poet. This topic falls under CC10 unit Modern and Contemporary Poetry. I have already delivered a lecture in 2 volumes which have already been published in YouTube. That was on W.B. Yeats, but of course not on this topic. That was different. That was another topic. That was on his aesthetic greatness of W.B. Yeats. So I have already developed into lecture in 2 volumes, video lectures on 2 volumes. So today's topic is W.B. Yeats as a modern poet. William Butler Yeats, one of the modern poets, influences his contemporaries as well as successors such as T.S. Eliot, Ezra Pound, and W.H. Auden through 3 common themes in Yeats's poetry. Poetry are love, Irish nationalism, and mysticism, but modernism is the overriding theme in his writings, Yeats's writings. Yeats started his long literary career as a romantic poet and gradually evolved into a modernist poet. As a typical modern poet, he regrets for post-war modern world which is now in a disorder and chaotic tuition and laments for the past. Yeats, as a modern poet, is anti-rationalist in his attitude, which is expressed through his passion for occultism or mysticism. He is a prominent poet in modern times for the sense of moral wholeness of humanity and history. Yeats is regarded as the seed of modernism. He is intensely aware of man in history and of the soul in eternity. Yeats is a representative modern poet and presents the spirit of the age in his poetry. For this, he uses myth, symbolism, juxtaposition, colloquial language, and literary allusions as a device to express the anxiety of eternity. After the World War I, people got totally shattered and they suffered from frustration. Boredom, anxiety, and loneliness are the characteristics of the modern age. Yeats has used different type of landscape to symbolize the spiritual and psychological states of modern man. The second kind is a superb example of Yeats's modernism. As in this poem, Yeats portrays the modern chaotic and disordered condition after World War I, and the poet tends to escape from this situation, turning and turning in the widening gyre. The falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. Then a powerful expression of Yeats's agony facing old age appears at the beginning of sailing to Byzantium. That is no country for old men. The young in one another's arms, birds in the trees. Those dying generations at their song. In among school children, he considers himself a comfortable a scarecrow, a scarecrow. The heart becomes comprehending, unfortunately attached to a dying animal in the tower, yet call the aged body an absurdity. Elites with which she will be able to face at the upcoming challenges of future. Actually, his prayer is fixed for all people of future generation. In Easter 1916, his sense of humanism is seen which is another modern trait in literature. The horrible effects of war cast a gloomy shadow on the poetic sensibility of the modern poets. He feels, even for his rival, he had done most bitter wrong to some who are near my heart. His use of symbols is another modern trait in his poetry, which is complex and rich. He is the chief representative of the symbolist movement. He draws his symbols from Irish. He draws his symbols from Irish folklore and mythology, philosophy, metaphysics, occult, magic, paintings, and drawings. Several allusions are expressed into a single symbol. The symbols are all pervasive key symbols. The rose, the swan, and Helen are his key symbols. Symbols give dumb things voices and bodiless things bodies. Thus, Yeats is one of those celebrated modern poets who flourished in the beginning of the 20th century and created their own style of poetry in order to show their dissatisfaction with the world. Yeats, as a modern poet, is anti-rationalist, as I have just told you before, in his attitude, which is expressed through his passion for occultisms or mysticism. He is a prominent poet in modern times for his sense of moral wholeness of humanity and history. Now, a comparative study of Yeats with the contemporary poets is necessary. Yeats and Eliot are two famous contemporary poets, and it is believed that Yeats is the seed of modernism, where Eliot is the tree of that seed. Eliot has a great influence on Yeats. Both have certain things in common. Both are intensely aware of man in history and of the soul in eternity. Both at times see history as an image of the soul writ large. Another important similarity of Yeats with other modern poets such as Eliot, Pound, is that they lament for the past and tend to escape from present miserable condition toward an illusionary Eden. In this regard, Yeats differs from Auden, who celebrates all disordered conditions of his time into his poetry. Yeats was a modern poet. He, like T.S. Eliot, is a representative modern poet and presents the spirit of the age in his poetry. Like Eliot, Yeats also uses myth, symbolism, juxtaposition, colloquial language, and literary allusions as a device to express the anxiety of modernity. After the World War, the first people got totally shattered and they suffered from frustration. I've already discussed these things before. I have just repeated with a purpose for my continuity, sense of continuity, that this can flow. Now, let us discuss the second coming. Second coming is a visionary poem, and the poet has used myths and symbols and images in this poem that makes this poem full of modernity. In modernity, W.B. Yeats was unique because he blended the present age with the past, or say the tradition. So tradition plus new status of life, new states of life, economic life, political life, intellectual life, psychological life, the life in the hours of developments, the life in the hour of advancements. Sometimes things fall apart. Things fall apart. Means knowledge is, the gushing of knowledge is so violent and wide and so strong that nothing can prevent it. This is what we fail the trouble in our present life. You see, the use of computer is a technology, and when it was added with telephone or www, that is called websites, connections, it was connected with internet, through internet. So internet passed through different channels of development, then it came. Now it is in the most advanced form of 5G technology. You see, such a fast change that lets you out of control. There are millions and millions of websites which can be availed ourselves from our phone, telephone, that is called Android phones or iPods. So now the world is agog with ideas. The world is agog with documents and history. What will you do? Whither will you go? So this is a brave new world. This brave new world where there is a chaos in the world of intellects. There is no meaning of copyright. There is no meaning of, say, plagiarism. Everything is published. Everything is published on the websites. You can just cut, copy and paste and write your name on that page. Thus it becomes yours. So there is no question of ownership or any copyright. Yet there is some essence of morality which has been left. Some people are not fully unethical or so much sinful of violating the orders, law and orders of the nation. The first law and order should be implemented in our life itself, in our mind. Let us be some innovative ideas of toning up your mind. Your mind moves in multiple channels due to the provision of internets, due to the provision of fast waves. They are in your hands. So now, what one should do in 30 years or 20 years, one does it in an hour or in a week or in a month. So this is the way of the world. So you see, the second coming may be connected with that the changes were so fast, so rude, so gushing and so sudden that humanity had no time to take resist take resistance of that force, because we were helpless. Mankind was helpless. The second coming is a superb example of Yeats's modernism. Yeats thought like this. He was a mystic. He was a visionary. I can see you, you can see me. But he saw the universe. He saw the future. Yeats saw the future. He looked at the future and discovered that a day will also come in next century when everything would be so fast, so changing, so much, so developed, so much with development, so much with evolution, but at the cost of ethics, morality, and guidance of the brain, guidance of the human brain. So we are, though in crisis, but Jesus Christ, W.B. Yeats believed in him, that Jesus Christ will save us, because he, after his crucifixion, he was crucifixed. After his crucifixion, say after a month, a week or month, I don't know exactly, a week or month, he resurrected from his grave. The grave broke out and the sepulchre came out, and the shepherdess and women, three women saw on the round of around the well, at the well, that a bright creature is coming out of the sun, moving fast. So heat, so much cold, so much radiance, that they were shocked. So the second coming is determined by W.B. Yeats just at the outset of 20th century. That was hardly just before the break of First World War and Post-World War, period between 1914 to 16 or 18. That was the period. He saw the future. He visualized things. It is said that he believed in occultism. Occultism, if you exercise your mind properly and go towards the investigation of a thing on a spiritual manner or in esoteric manner, you may use some kind of black magic. Say hypnotism. What is hypnotism? It is a mental involvement. Mind is commanded to make itself full of resistance, and this resistance is to apply your force on the other, to attract. So that is called just to make believe. This is a make believe mental or psychological technology. Then you see that second coming of what? Second coming, what will our God do? What will Jesus Christ will do when the millions and millions of people have great minds, a great storehouse in their mind through internet, through computer, through laptop, through phones, and through everything. So what will happen? Everybody is an investigator. Everybody is an atom bomb creator. Everybody is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So this unitary division in millions and millions and in millions are falsified. That every million, that every particle is on that effect, every particle is regenerating, is coming out of its seed and weeding and growing fast. All these are not friendly growth. Maximum, most of them are just unrealistic and impractical, because our relationship with God and universe and with the departed souls of our forefathers, of our friends, of our precedents, of our precedents. So that was the time. We 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 just know what it is fixed for us. We just follow routine. We just follow routine. W.B.Yeats did not follow the routine only. He went into the profound investigation of human life, in terms of senses and in terms of that is called oneness, senseness and oneness. So this is the philosophy, part of the philosophy. Our Vedantic literature discusses that. So we find in W.B.Yeats's poem, say, the Second Coming, it is a superb presentation. The very beginning lines of the poem represent the chaotic situation of the modern world, turning and turning in the widening gyre. I have just quoted it. So this turning and turning and turning, what is this? This turning is the recycling or cycling of life. We are recycled, we are recycled, we are cycled, we are cycled, we are denser, we are denser, we are denser, we are top on the floor, moving. So we are speeding, we are spinning, things fall apart, either shatter, big bang, it is a big bang, it is just breaking up classes in the hour of acute darkness and silence. Something is broken and it is heard. So this is kind of feeling, things fall apart, the center cannot hold. If you are Indian, if you are living in India or in any state, you will most of the time feel that things have fallen apart. The state and center relationship in Indian Union is at stake. It is disturbed. It is not prevailing properly there. It is not maintained. Mere anarchy is loosed everywhere. So the corruption, disobedience, and selfish interests of the politicians, what do? They earn money, they collect money at any cost. So this money culture has grown in our common life, which has, corruption, which has given to corruption. This corruption is so heavy that no ideology stands before the ideology of corruption. All ideologies have failed in this world because corruption and dishonesty and immorality, these three devils, have gripped us in their grip. So W.B. Yeats is 100% right when he says that mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. And again, he is optimistic. He says that Jesus Christ will come in the form of a sphinx. So there is a thinking that someday there would be a reappearance of demigod in the form of animal and human body combined. Narsimha. In our Hindu mythology, it is Narsimha. And you can see the Ganeshi, our Ganapati Deva, his head is that. So this is a part of belief, and this is a part of some kind of religion and belief. It falls under the category of that is called mysticism or Tantra Vidya. So we have also find a powerful expression of Yeats's agony facing old age appears at the beginning of sailing to Byzantium. That is no country for old man. So this is a psychological problem. Every old man curses it is psychology, curses the youth who are the present. He feels that they mock at him because his ability is diminished and his senses are just growing and getting stored in some damp storage. That is no country for old men. The young in one another's arms, birds in the trees, those dying generations at their song. So we find in Yeats's poem there is no place for old things. Yeats says old age as a symbol of the tyranny of time. So tyranny of time. You can see that truth for him is elusive. He does not believe in the truth that death is imminent. Death is a very certain point to reach at last, wherefrom there is no return. But he knows. He says that no place for old things and is a symbol of tyranny of time. So time floats itself. The nature of time is to float. It is gyring, spinning, and it is dancing in the finger movement, in the movement of the finger, or in the movement of the key ring. So Yeats's poem is full of mysticism. He says that in old age we are like an old coat, tattered coat on a stick. He says an old man is a tattered coat on the stick. So this is his view. But every old people don't do that. If your intellectual fertility is the ratio of the intellectual fertility and the growth and their storage are well maintained by yourself through meditation, through compliments and contemplation, dhyan, yoga, samadhi, pranayam, and you say inhale, exhale, and stretching of your body, running, jumping, and just try to make your body an ethereal one, just a unit which is invisible, and that is the greatest power that makes it moving. So the very concept of Jesus Christ, of W.B. Yeats's prediction, the recoming, the rebirth of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is himself a symbol. Any God may be like Jesus Christ, who has truth and sacrifice in life, who has honesty and morality, who worked for humanity, who got his life to an end, who was killed, who was pierced, who was maimed, who was cursed with lepers. So these kind of tests were made on him, guinea pig tests. So he is the greatest personality for love and fraternity. Love and fraternity. Don't live for yourself. Don't live for yourself. Live for others. The essence of life lives in that. So Jesus Christ is a symbol for, it's a symbol for tolerance, great tolerance. So we should have tolerance in our life. In the poem, A Prayer for My Daughter, Yeats is ever so worried with the present disordered situation and moreover the upcoming dangerous future that is near to the next generation. In the poem, Yeats wishes to his daughter some abstract qualities with those she will be able to face the upcoming challenges of future in the poem. Yeats says prayer is not only for his daughter but also for all people of future generation. In Easter 1916, it says sense of humanism is seen, which is another modern trait in literature. The horrible effects of war cast a gloomy shadow on the poetic sensibility of the modern poets. The sad realities, the sad realities of life paved the way of humanism, humanitarian aspect in modern literature. Yeats's poetry also abounds in humanism. In this poem, he feels even for his rival. He says, he had done most bitter wrong to some who are near my heart. Very famous line of W. Yeats. This is to know him, to remember these lines. He had done most bitter wrong to some who are near my heart. जो मेरे दिल के करीब है उसे मैं माफ़ कर दूँगा. I will forgive them who are in my heart. So even the wrong people may be in your heart. Even the bad elements may be in your heart, as equally as good angels, good souls live in your body or in your heart. Yeats's use of symbols is another modern trait in his poetry, which is complex and rich. He is the chief representative of the symbolist movement. He draws his symbols from Irish folklore and mythology, philosophy, metaphysics, occult, magic, paintings and drawings. Several allusions are compressed into a single symbol. His symbols are all pervasive key symbols. His key symbols shed light on his previous poems and illuminates their sense. The rose, swan and Helen are his key symbols. These three, rose, swan, wild swan at Cools, the title of his poem is Wild Swan at Cools, and the rose. And symbols give dumb things voices and bodiless things bodies in Yeats's poetry. Thus, on the basis of our discussions, past discussions, early discussions, we can rightly say that Yeats is one of those celebrated modern poets who flourished in the beginning of the 20th century and created their own style of poetry in order to show their dissatisfaction with the world. Thank you. Dear students, I would deliver lecture more and more on W.B. Yeats. You might be feeling that I am also dealing with some poetic lines, some lines from the poems which are written by W.B. Yeats. So that is my method of teaching. That I give the first I give the poetic theory of the person I deal with, and then your poetic theory, literary theory, poetic theory, literary theory, aesthetics, and some psychological aspects, use of symbols and images. So these are the devices, and you see that there are great things to be sought in our heart. So that discovery, the discovery of the heart, the discoveries of the heart should come out in the form of expression, and this form of expression is poetry, and that we do get this element in W.B. Yeats. He was a serious thinker. He remained stuck to his views, to his points, to his ideology, to his philosophy, he was mystic, he believed in visionary arts. Yet he had a great mental balance because he cherished the element of morality. He believed in ethics or ethical manner. If you go wrong, you may be not heeded. You may not be heeded by anyone that you have killed, that you have wronged, that you have just raped anyone or anything abnormal, anything untoward behavior, unethical. So he disliked that. They are the clouds. They are the dead clouds of poisonous gas, like poisonous gas, that roaming around your mind and affecting your mind and brain. So our life is at stake in the hands of people who practice falsehood or unethical behaviors or unmindful behaviors, unmindful of duties, not mindful of duties. People are not dutiful. People are not dutiful. They try to shirk. They try to work either when they are in need or when they feel that I must go out for doing that work. So there is nothing planned, there is no plan, no pre-planned, nothing. So this kind of weird life is dangerous for our civilization. So dear students, I will speak more in my next lecture. It may be day after tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.